Good morning, everyone. Something historic happened this week, but it happened not once, but twice. And that is, 2 days in a row, two Orthodox young men were drafted to Major League Baseball. The first one was Jacob Steinmetz, who was drafted this week to the Arizona Diamondbacks. And then a day later, Eli Kligman was drafted to the Washington Nationals. And both of them are Shomer Shabbos, observant, kosher-eating, fully Orthodox Jewish boys. And this has never happened before in Major League Baseball. We know that Sandy Koufax didn't play on Yom Kippur, but that was obviously a one-time event. These are practicing Orthodox Jews. And what's fascinating is that we're during the 3 weeks, and everything we observe in life, we have to learn a lesson in the service of God. So what can we learn from these baseball players, besides the obvious that they're standing up and saying, yes, we're Major League Baseball players, but we also have principles and values, and we're going to maintain our faith and not compromise our beliefs and our traditions and our practices, which will be a wonderful role model for all Jewish boys and girls as well when they look up to these athletes who are displaying faith and principle above everything else. During the 3 weeks, we read 3 special haftorahs leading up to Tisha B'Av, talking about mending our ways to merit the rebuilding of the temple. The first haftorah in the 3 weeks is called The Words of Jeremiah. The second one is again by Jeremiah that says, Shimu, listen to the word of Hashem. And this Shabbat we're going to read Chazon Yeshayahu, the vision of Isaiah. So the 3 opening words of the 3 special haftorot is Divrei, the words, Shimu, listen, and Chazon, see. And I was thinking about the past year. What are the words we've spoken most about in the past year? COVID. What have we heard most this past year? About people unfortunately getting sick and dying of COVID, and about anti-Semitism. And what have we seen this year, tragically? We've seen a war in Gaza with over 4,000 missiles raining down on Israel. We've seen the tragedy in Meron, 45 people dying in a stampede. And most recently, we've seen the tragedy in Surfside with a building came crashing down and tragically killing over 150 people. And what could we learn from this? What we can learn from this is when there's so much negative speech going on in the world and so much bad news that we're hearing and so much catastrophes that we're seeing, we have to supplant that and replace that with good words. Try to speak words that are positive. Try to tune in and listen to things that are good and hear good news. And of course, use our eyes to see the positive. And then, God willing, we could transform all the negativity and be able to speak, hear, and see only positive things. What I love about baseball is the following. In Pirkei Avot it says, Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor, v'lo ata ben chorin lehi batel mimena. It's not your job to finish the task, but you have to do your best. And what I love about baseball is that you just have to get on base, a base hit, a single, a double, a triple. Somebody else will come along and finish the job and bring you home. You do your best, and then somebody will follow after you and score the point for you by driving you home with their play. And that's the true in all of life. We have to get base hits. We don't always have to hit a home run. Someone else will come and finish the job. If we could speak positive words, see something positive in another, hear something good about someone, then we're getting a base hit. And one good deed will ultimately lead to another good deed, and ultimately we'll come home. We'll come home to Jerusalem. We'll come home to the Holy Temple. You know, last week they installed a new president of Israel, Buzzi Herzog, and his grandfather, Rabbi Yitzchak Halevi Herzog, was the first chief rabbi of Israel. He started in 1936 under the British mandate, and then in 1948 he was the first Ashkenazi chief rabbi, and he served till 1959 upon his passing. And there's a story told after the Holocaust, he went over to try to rescue Jewish children. Many Jewish parents who were sent off to the concentration camps gave over their children to convents and monasteries for safekeeping, to protect their children from the murderous Nazis. Well, after the war, many of these parents did not survive, and they were going from convent to convent trying to get back the Jewish children to bring them home to Israel. They came to one particular convent, and the nuns there said, sorry, we don't have any Jewish children here. And they gathered all the children, and Rabbi Herzog spoke to them and says, anyone here Jewish? And none of them responded because they were so young when they went into the convent that they didn't even know they were Jewish. And as the rabbis were about to leave, Rabbi Herzog turned around, put his hand over his eyes, and started to cry out, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. And when he did that, suddenly a couple of the little children put their hands on their eyes and started to sing along, Shema Yisrael. Rabbi Herzog turned to the nuns in the convent and said, these are Jewish children. These Jewish mothers said the Shema with their children at bedtime, gave them over to the convents to be saved from the Holocaust. And then Rabbi Herzog came along and brought these children home. We have to do our part, and then God will help that our efforts will be successful. Have a wonderful day.